Alrighty, welcome to day 8. Is it 8? I think it's day 8 of Sampey builds a micro house. I'll just stand off here so you can have a look at what we've got. The roof isn't fully attached yet, it's just tacked on. But it's on there. We started framing out the lintel edge below where the doors are going to go, so forth. Got our end piece in there, spent quite a bit of time on that today. I believe on day 7 I talked about notching it out so that it fit against the bookcase, so we'll just go over that. It's my super accurate construction where everything's give or take about a centimetre. I don't know. No, there's some cracks in there, but it fits okay. So that's bolts or screws have gone through from the back side of this case into the edge of the door, and it's also pinned in at the floor, so nice. It's a bit of a wobbly, but it's nice and rigid enough. Once the rest of the framing goes in, it'll be good and rigid. Cocked up over there, so I measured out to do a notch that would bring this piece of wood across over here and past the edge of the ply, so I've got something covering the crack that will be created when the other piece of ply goes in on the outside here. And then I cut the wrong bit. So I was like, screw it, I'm running low on wood, so I can't just sort of make another one. So I laid the piece in here and just notched it in that way, and I'll have to make a wee titty to fit in this gap in there. Just cut out a piece and screw it in place, so that'll be fine. It'll do. Again, lots of cracks and stuff, and not very good fitting there by me, because I'm not a very good builder, as it turns out, to be honest. But in terms of structural integrity and, will this work? Well, I'm good enough. Bits like that are pieces that aren't ever intended to come apart again, like framing sections and whatnot, so I just bog those cracks up and whatnot and then paint them, they'll look fine. Basically the way it's set up now, to disassemble, we would remove the roof and then remove all of the ply wall panels, all of those, and that would leave a reasonably rigid frame and bookcase set up with my mezzanine here, which would then take apart and go down and stuff. So whole sections like this piece of framing around the door here and attached to the door itself would stay attached. We'd just debolt, unscrew the ply panels and take, say, that end wall piece that's made of a door away in one chunk with all the framing attached to it, and then remove the bookcase, and you get the idea. It comes away in chunks. So I'm pretty sure I could disassemble this whole thing in a day, when and as I need to. As I mentioned, I'm running low on wood. That's the last long piece I've got, which is going to be a wee strut support that comes up here. You can see me marking out things on the floor, and they're going, oh shit, we measured that wrong. No, the line goes over there. But this piece, let's grab it, drops in about there on the floor ish, and then lines up and connects to the roof there, where again I've cut it a little bit too short, but that'll be fine. We'll just put it with nails and make it work. Swear it a bit, it'll fit. We'll make it fit. In fact, I think if I spin it around this way, yeah, it actually fits this way around. So I've cut a bit of an angle on this piece, because initially the way it was designed was this was actually going to sit that way and have two long pieces, and what I realised is, as you can see, it's actually overstepping where I wanted my doors to be, and then I realised my doors are actually coming across quite a bit further, so I'd either section out this piece of wood and fit it in like this there, where it does actually fit nicely, so I didn't cut it that wrong, or I can turn it the other way, and then I've got nearly 10 centimetres to play with there in terms of exactly where it fits and what angle it's going to be on. Now this is a key point when you build like I do, and you just kind of knock things together and figure it out as you go, and maybe don't use the spirit level as often as you should, and blah 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 blah. Oh, it's a sheet, we'll assume the sheet is square. They're not, and so on. You end up with some build inaccuracy. So let's have a look at that spirit level, see how badly it's up against here. Is that focusing? You see my bubble's a bit off there. You want that bubble bang in the center of those two dots, and it's not, so that means it's sitting there. This wall needs to come, yeah, so I need to kick the bottom out by, well, if I was to do this, kick the bottom out over the length of the entire height there, maybe a centimetre, and on this side I believe it's the same thing. No, it's the other way. Yeah, so that's level-ish. We pop that against there, you can see it's definitely not level, the door thing. So what this basically means is my entire door space is a bit of a slight diamond parallelogram sort of a shape. This is no big deal, you know, there's space there to re-level things and fit the doors and whatnot. And here's where we started having fun. Once I went to fit the doors, I discovered that I don't know if they're really that square themselves. I didn't bother checking, I don't really care. But what I do care about is the assumption we made that they were all the same height. They're not. This one's the tallest. The next one down is about, I think about 11 millimeters to 16 millimeters shorter. And then the other one, I think I'm just going to go over on the yard. We'll grab a look over there. Where I've got them laid out. I think the next one across is another 16 or so shorter, which means across where I want to have two doors. Let's have a look, shall we? There's that level on the bottom. No, it's not. Let's kick it up a bit. There we go. And push across. Yes, as you can see, this door, the one with the biggest pane of glass, is about, get that 9-10 millimeter shorter than the middle, the other door. And then this door here is about 9 or 10 millimeters, maybe up to 15ish. I had a quick look before and sort of a fiddle. Shorter than the one that's forming the end wall, which is a bit of a fiddle. So I decided to stop for the day and have a bit of a clean up and have a think about how I'm going to approach this. Obviously there's a couple of things we can try doing. These go down around the other way, by the way, so you can just see over there a little piece of glass in the top of the end wall that cuts on a nice wee angle, goes to this middle section here, and then this one over here is the longest, so it makes a cool diagonal thing around the corner of the house and across the doors, which I reckon is totally sweet. So there's two options. Either way, I really probably need to get these all leveled up to the same height, but I can continue with the idea of having bifold, well, not bifold, but double doors that both open, which is a possibility. Or I can rig it so only this one with the big glass is the door. I mean, it's 550 wide, 550 millimeters, which is almost bang on my shoulder width. I'd be a little bit less than that, which is why my, say, cubbyhole space we've got in here, which will eventually make a toilet or a shower cubicle, is 600 wide, because that's just wide enough for me to stand in there without smashing. You know, I've got a couple of centimeters either side of me to sort of sit in there. So yeah, I'd be about 550 wide based on that, which is the door width. So that means if I just use one of them and then hinge only one of them, and then have a single door, there's a sort of advantage there. That would mean that where I was going to hinge this door here coming across this way, that will form a wall section with windows, with a window in it as well. And I can actually put more desk space in here directly under this sort of little window area, and maybe just even leave this internal cedar wood effect in place and just leave it. I have to paint the outside to seal it, but the inside I don't have to paint. The rest of this is going to be white, and that could be kind of a nice feature, you know, there's like nice wood there and so forth. And then I can hinge this door here, and that would be simpler because I need to make this vertical fit the door. I need to make all of the horizontal stuff across there. It's called a lintel, I believe, fit across the top of the door, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to do that with both doors, and the walls aren't exactly level and blah blah blah. To do it with a single door, it's like create a gap for the door to fit in, put the door in, make sure it fits. If it doesn't, plane off or sand off until it bloody well does, and you're done. Put the hinges on, you're good to go. Whereas doing the double door setup, basically the way this works, I can't attach this vertical until I have a door attached to it, so I know that it's all set up and where it's supposed to be, and then I'd have to sort of figure out both doors as I go. The idea normally would be just to, you know, complete all the framing and then put the doors in one at a time, but that's making the stupid assumption that the frame is going to be perfectly square, or even if it is, the doors are going to be perfectly square and everything's just going to pop into place. It's not. It's going to involve a lot of dicking around and swearing at it and yada yada yada. And this is not, you know, a critical fail or anything. It's not a problem. I'll work it out. We'll get it done. But the other problem is that, you know, we're trying to work out, you know, what framing bits to put across there and what height to put them at and all this kind of thing to fit the doors. Now I'm going to have to notch that whole section. So I don't know, if I level off those two doors together and actually get them the same height, then I can at least put a horizontal across here that's the same height and doesn't have to be all notched, because that'd look awful, like doors of different heights right beside each other. It's going to be really obvious, it'll look shit. So yeah, I'm just going to sit around and have a bit of a think about whether I want a single door or double doors and how I want to approach it. While I'm at it, I am also going to start thinking about buying some more framing wood, because obviously that's the last long bit we've got a couple of short bits there, and they're not even the width to go across this section here where they need to. Now, if they were the only bit of framing I needed left, I could actually link them together with screws or whatever and then back them with ply, make a chunk of wood that's one length, and then saw it off to the right length and put it in place, which I may do. But I have decided after all, if you have a look at the ceiling here, wobbly wobbly wobbly, I've just pinned it at the corners pretty much, just to pop it on for now, and sort of check where it's at. Another place where we can see that the build isn't very square is up there, so you got an overhang there where it shouldn't be, which, you know, you can see in my corner there's the roof sheet actually fits inside the side sheets. It's supposed to. I'm actually going to bevel off I'll cut that section of sheet off, like that little piece there, because it shouldn't be there. This side's pretty good, but it could use a bit of trimming as well. But what I'm going to do is take my rough sandpaper after just sort of cutting off the main chunks, and I'm going to, whoa, don't lean on that, it's not screwed in place. I'm going to bevel off the whole lot, so my roof will have rounded edges. And I think I explained this before, when you're doing sheet like this to frame wood, and it's like right up to the edge, and then you put another piece up against there. Even if you do have that thickness of this down and then thickness across here like we've got up on the roof, it's not really a problem until you just leave it like that. Because where's a bit of ply so I can demonstrate? Here you go. So if it sits like that, it's not very good, because now we've just created a channel right along the roof edge with an open ply edge that water will eventually, no matter how much paint you use, get into, start swelling things out and doing stuff you don't want to. However, if you bevel off that whole edge and create a rounded rolled edge to it, which I'll do with sandpaper and swearing and buggering about, times you wish you had like a power sander or something. But I'm trying to keep the tooling simple for this, so sometimes it just means you're going to have to put a bit more effort in. If you bevel off the edge like that and then paint it all up, basically you know, water's just going to run straight off, because there's nothing for it to sit in, kind of thing. And to any degree where it does get in through the cracks or whatever, this piece of wood here is going to begin to swell immediately, which will seal any crack up. And it's, you know, pretty good big solid bits of decking timber I'm using for my subframe, so yeah, I'm happy with that as an idea. Plus it'll look nice, you know, a little rounded edge there, and yeah, like I say, the water will just run off. Obviously above our doors up here, we're also going to need to have, whether it's two doors or a single door, we'll have a little eave thing sticking off the edge there that I'll just bolt on the side and whatnot, just to sort of keep rain from running straight into the top of the door frame, which is made of cedar and will absorb wood like water like a sponge. So yeah. Anyway, back to the roof. I've decided that I do actually want to frame it a little bit. So, I mean, it's fine like this, but I'd like to be able to jump up on top of it for painting and for screwing the edges and then doing stuff like that. It'll just be a lot easier for me to do. And, you know, it gives, if I frame it a bit more, then I can stand on it. It gives me a few more options to be able to store things up there, you know, maybe bolt windmills into it at some point and stuff like that. So I need another couple of sections of wood to go across here. I think I'll do it in the middle where that vertical is, straight across, and then between that and the end wall, straight across, and then the same down the other end here. So I have 3 supports through the middle of my roof that will support my very, very lightweight, enough so that I can spread my weight up there, paint the roof easily, put the screws in, and maybe later on do some other stuff. So another hardware store trip tomorrow, or maybe later today, to pick some of that up. I've got to figure out exactly how much to buy, but it looks like that's a gap of nearly 1200, so minus the wood thickness, so it's 1200, 1200, and 1200, which is 3 meters, 3.6 meters minus a bit of wood material and shit, so yeah, about 3.5, 3.3 meters worth or something. So I'll just get a couple of, how will I do it? Yeah, I'll get them to saw me up at 3 1.2 meter lengths, and that will leave. And then I'll actually get another one to cover this thing, so I don't have to sub those bits of wood together, which will leave some short bits of off-cut and stuff to use for little minor bits of framing and dicking about. So yeah. Anyway, I mean, obviously I'm not as chirpy as I usually am with these videos. I'm a bit kind of a little bit disappointed that this is going to be more difficult than I thought it would be. I was hoping to actually sort of get to the point where I was pretty much starting to drill hinges and getting all sealed up and getting my cladding on the outside at the top here above the doors and stuff today, but we still got a fair bit done. This bit where I notched out this thing I was meaning to talk about before, and I said I was just going to hack in and then cut along there with the saw. What I discovered is sealwood is really, really soft. And cutting along its grain with the saw is a hell of a job, especially when you're only taking off 2mm at the bottom. So what I actually ended up doing was going back to that technique where you do lots of horizontal cross cuts, which the cross cut's really nice, the sealwood, I love it. And going through with my chisel and just very gently to avoid cracking the window, chipping out all the wee chunks and stuff, and I did a much better job. There were a couple of points that were a little deep, but again, bog, sweet. But yeah, chipping out a few chunks of it and stuff, and just getting it tapped out and getting it fitted there, and that worked quite well. Sort of relax and just sit there quietly with a chisel for a bit. This time to save my hands, I borrowed my mate's wee mallet thing down here, so that I didn't get all hand cramped trying to use a bit of 4x2 to bang my way away with the chisel there. I must admit, tool for the job's not a half bad plan. It does save your hands a lot, fatigue wise and so forth. But yeah, we're doing pretty good. I need to get a little bit more wood. There's still plenty of money in the budget to pick that up, so I've got no money issues with this stuff or whatever. Paint, everything's ready to go. I'm not actually even sure what day it is at the moment, but I am still hoping to be getting my painting done on Saturday morning and afternoon, and having a couple of mates over Saturday night and be like, hey, check out, I built a thing and now it's black, please don't touch the walls, they're still wet. So yeah. There's piles of stuff still to do. We've got interior and exterior bogging and sanding to do. That's after we get this door thing sorted out and stuff. Interior and exterior bogging and sanding to do. Obviously the paint, all that kind of stuff. A couple of coats of that have to occur, so that'll occur over a few days actually. And then we start, once we've got it sealed up, we start playing around with poking vent holes into bits of the wall and going and buying some little fans to fit into them and stuff. But I want to spend like a day in here without ventilation and just sort of have a bit of a see what it's like kind of thing. So yeah, much to do. So I think totally complete for stage one, everything done and dusted, vents installed, solar panels wired up, lights put in place, all that kind of shit done and dusted will be more like next weekend now. So it ends up to being not quite a 3-week build process, because I mean we're on I believe it's day 8 of the blogs that I'm doing for this, and the first 3 of those I was just talking and pointing the camera at me because I wasn't doing any building. So I've only done 5 days of an average of 4 to 6 hours each. So 5 was 25, 6 to 30, so between 20 and 30 hours work. And that's almost all of this, you know. So I mean, nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm actually pretty stoked with my work so far. Actually, it's yeah, it's nice. I can totally imagine living in the internal space is so much more than I expected. Like when I drew it, I was like, oh yeah, we'll just use standard sheets, but shit, that's going to be pretty skinny and a bit hard to get around there. And it's really not. There's plenty of space even here in this sort of smallest, most cramped bit up against the wall where the toilet shower thing's going to be, or getting it under here on the seat. I'll just turn this around so you can see what kind of roof clearance I got. Like, I don't want to wave your head around too much when you hit that. But yeah, it'll do. It's not too bad. Those doors look fucking nice from the inside. So yeah, the more I think about it, I think I will do that, just the single door. Oh, okay, let's slam it over there before I get it in the face. I think I will just do the single door and build an extra desk in there up against all this nice cedar wood. Like, that's really cool. And yeah, it's 500 wide, so I can put an A3 down on a mini desk there, one down on there, and I'm going to do another mini desk over here. So I have like a little L section space and lots of shelving all around and everything to hand. I think it'll be quite cool actually. And I was also thinking when I put my lintel in, that tends to be a wider, more horizontal thing, sticks out a bit, like I said, so I can protect the front of the door from rain. So that'll actually create a wee shelf about, I don't know, like 20 centimetres from the roof, and then, you know, yay wide up there. So I can put my wee Buddhas along the shelf or something like that, I don't know. Or at least it might provide just a cool space where I can hide a lot of wiring for lights and things, or I don't know, sort of ideas, you know. Like, as I've said in other videos, I don't have a plan for this. Like, I drew a couple of sketches of a box and had some ideas in my head and went, alright, let's start doing it. So it's very much a case of just make it up as I go along. It's kind of fun. Anyway, I think that's enough for me. This is probably the longest video I've shot, whinging and moaning about how hard it is to hang doors. Anyone who's done building before will tell you, well, yeah, no shit, mate. It's just not one of the funnest jobs in the world, because, yeah, I mean, especially in a house. I mean, a small structure like this, it is possible actually if you're not bodgy like me to create everything perfectly level. But it would have been fucking annoying, I must admit, if I have put in the effort to get everything perfectly level and sorted out and like absolutely right, and I'm lucky that I did it, and only to find that the doors aren't square and aren't the same height and aren't going to just go in kind of thing. That would have been really, really irritating. And it was lucky today that I just went, hang on a second, let's pull them out, have a look before we put the last bits of our framing in to make sure they'll fit and that everything's going to line up nicely. Because otherwise I would have created a pocket together and made a square space to fit the doors in, gone to put them in and found they didn't fit. And there would have been much swearing. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that we sort of did that check on it. I think the way I'll do it now is, like I say, I may just do the one opening door, because that's plenty of space for me to get in and out. I don't have to get big things like beds or anything in here. This is a tiny space. The mezzanine deck there is going to have some layers of various kinds of foam put along it to create a soft space on it, so that the bed's built in, and just throw some blankets or a sleeping bag on top while laughing. So yeah, there's no need for me to have a big wide door here, and like I said, I can create a cool little extra desk space in the corner here, right under the windows, which would be kind of nice without getting direct light straight in and sunburning myself while I'm trying to draw. So yeah, no, I think we can work our way around it. It'll be right. We'll work it out. And at least that way, if I do that, I won't have to spend so much time getting the doors all perfectly same heighty and stuff like that. I can just get one that fits in a pocket, and I'll make the framing around it to make sure it fits properly. And then yeah, just put an extra bit of wall in here. The other thing we noticed, you can probably actually see the difference here. This shows you how not square these doors are, because I do know this bookcase setup and stuff is on a little bit of a lean. But it's actually on a bit of a lean from the top out by about a centimetre or so, which is why we had to do this notched section and stuff to fit in. And then it's all level up nicely and stuff. However, at the bottom, from the edge of that to the edge of my floor here is pretty much bang on 50 millimeters. And that gap there where it all lines up at the ceiling and should be the same distance, just here is a 60 millimeters. So that means over the frame of this door, this length here, it's changed by 10 millimeters. So I'm a lean, or it's not perfectly square. So, or I've built it in and it was square, I don't know. I mean, it fits down to the floor real nice. Squared up to all of this at the top, and squared up against there and flatted out nicely and shit, and up against that little bit of framing and everything, all square and fine. And here, 10 millimeters difference between here and here. So that, I mean, that means this door is not square. And it's about 10 millimeters higher than the next door, which is 10 millimeters shorter. And I mean, these things, when I saw the photo of them, they're leaning against the wall, and there's just this cool diagonal bit of glass thing that goes through and stuff, which I am absolutely going to make happen here still, because it's fucking cool. It'll look great. But they're not, I don't know how these were hung or how they were used. I mean, yeah, how do you have 3 doors that are different heights by that much? I don't know, maybe they were in a trifold setup and concertinaed, and so they made them ever so slightly smaller and smaller as they went along, so it was easier to get the one that's the shortest and just have it about 2 or 3 millimeters clearing whatever thing it's on. I honestly, I cannot figure it out. Why you would have a set of 3 doors like that all go together and yet they're different heights. Maybe there were sliding ones and there was some sort of extra hardware attached to them that did that. Yeah, that's a point actually. There was some metal hardware, I took off one of them the other morning when I was disassembling all the crap on them I didn't need, and some weird metal runners running up them and stuff. So yeah, maybe there were some sort of concertina or rolling setup, and that's why they're different heights. But yeah, the old adage is measure twice, cut once, and I didn't measure at all. So there you go. Learning helps us play. This is definitely the longest video I've done. No, shut up now. You guys have a good one, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get back with some better progress and decisions on how we're going to go about doing all of this. Bye.